Greetings, YouTube viewers. This is Thor Wilkins AKA ThorGodofThunder815, and today I'm going to be reading a Pokemon Creepypasta. I have not done any of these in a long time, even through my old YouTube channel, but I am now been linked up with Sacora-chan's YouTube channel. If you would like for us to read a Creepypasta for you, submit your own in the comments below. Submit it in the discussion on our channel page, or through Twitter, or in our Gmail. The links will be in the description below. I have not read a Pokemon Creepypasta in a long time, so I don't know if there are any new ones or any old ones, but this one intrigued me a little bit because of the name of the title of this Creepypasta. This Pokemon Creepypasta is titled Prevention of Evolution by Night Days Zorark. I'll never look at a shiny Eevee in the same way again. Ever. It only started a few days ago. I was on the internet looking for action replay codes. I really wanted one for either a shiny Vulpix or a shiny Eevee. Then I found one for that shiny Eevee I wanted so much. The code was long, but I was willing to take the time to put it in. It took about 15 minutes to put the code in, but I was so excited to get the code into action. I started my Soul Silver game up with the code on. I clicked on continue and my previous saved data came up. I was saved right in front of the Pokemon Center. I rushed into the place with my Typhlosion following behind me. I went to the PC and pressed A. Claus booted up the PC. I clicked A on Bill's PC. Pokemon Storage System activated. I pressed the LR buttons down and moved to box 5 where a shiny Eevee was supposed to come up. I moved the cursor over the Eevee. It was named E, and it was level 1. Its moves were Tackle, Growl, Sand Attack, and Swift. I took out my level 1 Giratina from my party and put it in the first box of my PC. Afterwards, I put E in my party. I wanted to trade it on my Heart Gold version, since it was the one I always play. I got my other DS and popped Heart Gold into it. I turned it on and clicked continue. Once both my players were in the Union Room, I started the trade. I traded a Cubone onto my Soul Silver in return for E. Once the Pokemon were traded onto the separate versions, I made both players leave the Union Room and saved, one at a time. Once turning off the system Soul Silver was in, I went to playing Heart Gold. I wanted to clone E so I can get the rest of the evolutions. I wonder if I have a Thunderstone, I wondered to myself as I opened my character's bag. The only evolution stone I had was a Water Stone. Vaporeon will do for now, I guess. I clicked A on the Water Stone and clicked on E. I watched as the Eevee evolved into a pink Vaporeon. Once the evolution process was done, I saved the game and turned it off, as it was time for me to go to bed. Several days have passed. I have gotten all the shiny evolutions except for Flareon, but that didn't matter to me. I'd get it later. I wanted to get E back onto my Soul Silver. I got my DS, popped in my Action Replay DSi, along with Soul Silver. Once the code list loaded, I clicked on Shiny Eevee code and started up the game. I clicked continue as soon as the options came up. I was saved in the Pokemon Center this time. I ran over to the PC. Claus booted up the PC. I clicked A on Bill's PC. Pokemon Storage System activated. I was already in box 5. I moved to box 6 and held down R and L buttons. I moved back to box 5. Instead of an Eevee icon in the box, there was an egg icon. I moved my cursor onto it. It was a bad egg. I moved the egg to the side of the box and tried again. Another bad egg. I moved this egg to the bottom and tried for a third time. This time, E appeared in the box. I moved E back into my party. I wanted to train him. I disregarded the fact that I had 2 bad eggs in my PC box and logged off the PC. I ran out of the Pokemon Center to train E. I had the max EXP code on, so this would be easy. After flying to Goldenrod City on my Ho-Oh, I ran out of the city, knowing that I had sneaked past some of the trainers. Once a trainer had spotted me, I sent out E. The opposing trainer sent out a level 10 Diglett. I returned E and sent out my trusty Typhlosion. After the foe's Diglett attacked, I selected Typhlosion's command. This wouldn't be so hard for him at all, since he was level 100. I select Slash. Typhlosion used Slash. Foe Diglett fainted. I held down the R button so E would gain the max experience points. E grew to level 2. E grew to level 3. This went on until E grew to level 37. Trainer is about to send out Zubat. Will Claws change Pokemon? I selected yes and send out E. Go E. Trainer sent out Zubat. I selected the fight command, then chose Swift. E used Swift. Foe Zubat died. Their Zubat died, I questioned. I shook my head and ignored it, although through my confusion, I forgot to hold down the R button to get the max experience for my Eevee. Trainer is about to send out Diglett. Will Claws switch Pokemon? I selected no this time. Trainer sent out Diglett. What will E do? I selected the fight option, and then chose Swift again. E used Swift. Foe Diglett died. Again, the Pokemon had died. Even though this still confused me, I remembered to hold down the R button. E grew to level 38. E grew to level 39. E grew to level 40. This continued until E had reached level 52. The opposing trainer didn't do anything after I beat him. Before the screen went back to the overworld, I got the evolution screen and E was on there. What? E is evolving. The animation showed that it was trying to evolve into an Espeon. I clicked the B button since I already had a shiny Espeon. What? E stopped evolving. I noticed that E seemed to be angry. After about 5 minutes or so, E was trying to evolve into Espeon again. I pressed the B button again, and E seemed to be even angrier at me. I was once again in the overworld. Before I could do anything, my trainer faced E, and an angry icon appeared over the shiny Eevee's head. E wants to evolve into Espeon. The yes or no options came up. Being that I didn't want it to evolve into Espeon, I clicked no. The angry icon appeared over E's head again, and the small sprite jumped up and down as if it were throwing a tantrum. E wants to evolve. Another yes or no option came up. I clicked on no again. E didn't do anything this time. I opened my party and noticed that all my Pokemon were now bad eggs, except for E. I clicked on E, then I clicked on Summary. E's sprite had an evil-looking smirk on its face with red eyes. I was starting to get tired of it. I went to a Pokemon Center and went to the PC. Claus booted up the PC. I clicked A on Bill's PC. Pokemon Storage System activated. I selected E and then clicked on Released. E won't leave without a fight. Suddenly I'm dragged into a random encounter. E wants to fight. Go Typhlosion. There were 2 things that I noticed here. First thing was that I suddenly had my Typhlosion back. Second thing was that both E's and Typhlosion sprites were bloody. E still had that grin on its face, and now there was blood on its eyes and ears. Typhlosion's sprite looked very much like it was in pain. Blood was dripping from its mouth and nose. Flesh was exposed on its forehead, and flames on its neck looked weak. What will Typhlosion do? I clicked the fight command, then chose Flamethrower. Typhlosion is scared. What? I whispered to myself. I didn't know Pokemon would get too scared to attack. E used Bite. The attack dealt much damage to my Typhlosion, but it wasn't down yet. There was more blood on it now than before. What will Typhlosion do? Fight. Flamethrower. Typhlosion is scared. I sighed again, I whispered. E used Kill. Typhlosion is dead. No! I yelled. I was glad my dad wasn't home when I had said that. Claus is out of usable Pokemon. Claus fell victim to E. I was once again confused. What did it mean by fell victim? I was back in the overworld, but I was in what seemed to be Ilex Forest instead of the Pokemon Center. The forest was a dark red instead of its normal green color. Bones and rotting flesh were strewn across the area. A little pond was red too. At this point, I was starting to feel sick to my stomach. Then I noticed something. E was right in front of my trainer. E's sprite jumped up and down. E wants you to suffer. I was getting too scared to go on with this. I moved my thumb towards the power button. Don't even try it! You're not getting away from me. A voice came through my speakers of my DS. I assumed the voice belonged to E. The screen turned black and the only sound I can hear was sounded like slashing. When the overworld came back, I saw my trainer laying on the ground in a pool of blood. He had an arm and a leg missing, and his eyes were pitch black. I presume that his eyes were ripped out. E's sprite jumped up and down again, and then a happy icon appeared over E's head. I tried turning off the game again, and to my surprise, it worked. I sat on my couch speechless and breathed hard for a moment before turning it back on. I clicked on Soul Silver once I was on the DSi menu. After the title screen came up, I was immediately taken into a wild encounter. My trainer sprite was missing his eyes and an arm. I swallowed hard. This greatly disturbed me. Then the opposing Pokemon appeared. E attacked. I noticed that E had shiny Espeon ears, tail, and a jewel. Blood was dripping from the ears, tail, and jewel. Its eyes were red and also had blood dripping from them. Its cry was like a demonic version of Espeon's cry. The only option was ball. I click on it. Claus used one Pokeball. E goes into the ball. It shakes once, and again. Then E breaks out. E doesn't want to go back. E used kill. Oh no, I said quietly to myself. There was a flash of crimson red before a text box came up. E has killed Claus. The screen went back to the overworld. My trainer sprite was there. Eevee was now grinning wildly. You should have let me evolve. E's voice came through the speakers of my DSi. The game turned itself off as Eevee finished talking. I was too terrified to turn it back on. I threw my DS at the wall and surprisingly, only my Soul Silver games pops out of it. I picked up the game cartridge and thrown it in the trash can in the corner of my room. I sat there on my couch wondering what had just happened. I turned on my TV and the screen was black. I figured I had left it on the channel I used to play on my Wii. I turned through the channels before leaving it on 29. The screen remained black. I sighed and reached for the power button, but before I could, an eerie voice comes through the speakers. You should have let me evolve. That was Prevention of Evolution by Night Days Zorark. Final thought. I've read this twice before I am giving my final thought. I loved the story to the fact where up until the point where the reader said I ignored the fact that the faux Zubat died. And it kept going and it kept raising levels. One part, I did not read this part in the story. There it is. The animation started showing it was trying to evolve into an Espeon. I clicked the B button since I already had a shiny Espeon. What? E stopped evolving. This part here I did not read. I noticed that E seemed to be angry. I ignored it and go on training it. Now, when an evolution sprite evolves, when something says it died in the game, or there's blood, or guts, body parts strewn everywhere. If you feel sick to your stomach, you feel horrified. The most cliche people use would be the over-excessive amount of use of blood, body parts being ripped off, Pokemon communicating with them in some manner, way, or form. But it does give a creepy part to the story as long as they don't overuse it as much. This writer of this, Night Day Zorak, did not over-excessively use any of these until the very end, where it just got more violent and more crazy. Now, reading this twice made me remember my own Eevee I had in my gold version. When this person had the Eevee until it reached level 52 and it was evolving, when I had my gold version, I was 11 years old, and this is when the second generation was coming out. I had my gold version. I already beat it all up to the 6th gym. After I beat Jasmine, I was riding through Ecruteak City. I got a call from the bike shop owner in Goldenrod City saying that I could keep the bike because I was riding around and advertising it. So I went back to Goldenrod City and I looked over at some of the places that I would think that I would forget. In Gold version, I decided to do some of the slots, play around, and then I noticed there was another house near the southern part around the corner from the underground near the Pokemon Center. That was Bill's house, and he was thanking me. And he said he had an Eevee, but he doesn't like to let it out, and he would think it would be better off with me. Now, this is a nostalgia thing for me, because this player had an Eevee and it reached level 52. When I had this Eevee, remember, I was 11 years old. Mine did not evolve until level 77. I did not know what Espeon or Umbreon were, hence, mind you, that the second generation just came out. After it evolved into Umbreon, and it was level 77. I'm thinking to myself, did I do something wrong? Or did I get a bad copy of this game? I showed a couple of my friends around the next day, and they said, "Oh, that's the new evolution." Wait, there were 2 new evolutions? And one of my other friends in my class, we got our Game Boys taken away for showing each other right near the beginning of class anyway, because we were showing each other underneath the desk. He had an Espeon and I had an Umbreon, and I was wondering, how did you get that one when I got this one? And he said, "Oh, you have to raise it in the morning for Espeon, and then you got Umbreon because you were playing at night." Yeah, I did. Yeah, I was playing at night, and whoop-de-doo. But mine did not evolve until level 77, because I asked him why. He said, "My Espeon's level 29. I said, "My Umbreon's level 77. And he said, "How many times did it faint?" I said 15. He said, "That's why. You need to have a lot of friendship on it and use a lot of items." I started getting into more and more about Pokemon, way more than I did before, since there was the time frame of day and night in the games, more Pokemon found. And I completed that gold version I had thanks to him, because we traded a lot. Until... man, I wish I still had this gold version. I have Heart Gold version, but I do not have the original gold version for my Game Boy, sadly. But this story reminded me, the Prevention of Evolution story reminded me about that Eevee that I had. It brought back a nostalgia memory for me, and it was kind of fond and funny to remember of how badly I treated an Eevee. There were a couple of mistakes in the story of Prevention of Evolution, but there were not that many that I actually enjoyed reading it. I would rate this creepypasta with an 8. What would you rate this creepypasta? Do you think it could be better? Everybody has their own opinion. This is Thor Wilkins, aka ThorGodofThunder, and I'm logging off.